Good evening, welcome. Welcome to our 2023 Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Just give me a few minutes, I'd like to, indulge me in some congratulations, some thank yous, some recognitions. First, I'd like to recognize our President, Dr. Brad Mortensen, who is in attendance tonight. Thank you for being here, President. And recognize any of our past Hall of Fame inductees that may be here tonight. And a big thank you to our chairman of the Hall of Fame committee, Curtis Breitweiser, and his committee for all the work that they do. I know that they have a lot of pride in Weber State, and it's not an easy thing to select 5 individuals every year, sometimes maybe less than that, one less than that, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame here, considering we have thousands of individuals each year to choose from. So a lot of work goes into that, and certainly their love for the institution is one of the reasons why they're so good at it. A big thank you to all the individuals who put tonight's event on and behind the scenes, and specifically a big thank you to Kerry Thompson, the Wildcat Club, Paul Grua, and Alan Farron and his crew, because I know they just do so much work behind the scenes to make this an enjoyable and memorable evening for everyone. So thank you. And I get to witness their love of Weber State every day. So thank you to the 3 of you in particular. A sincere congratulations to the inductees, the individuals being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame class. President Millner, to Seth, to Nicky, to Sarah, to Trevyn. It's not really just about, recognizing your achievements, but also about just your spirit, your dedication, your commitment to excellence. And from here on out, forevermore, you will be called Hall of Famers. And your names will be etched into the history of Weber State Athletics. And individually, each one of you have left an indelible mark on our institution and our community. And so I can't wait to hear what you have to say tonight, to listen to you, each individual, and to be able to celebrate your induction into our 2023 Hall of Fame class. And so sit back, enjoy your dinners, visit, and after that, Paul Grua, the infamous Paul Grua, will take it from there. So thank you, welcome again, and go Cats.
All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your dinner, and if you're still finishing, that's just fine. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. We are excited and welcome to the 2023 Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame. It's a great honor to be here tonight. I'm Paul Grua, Director of Athletic Communications, and tonight we're honored to honor 5 great Wildcats, and looking forward to inducting all of you into the Hall of Fame. Part of my job is to be kind of a historian, I guess, for Weber State Athletics, and that's one of the things I like the most, because we have such a storied history of so many great all-time athletes and coaches and things, and accomplishments and wins and championships, all kinds of things that Weber State Athletics has. It really is a tremendous history, and this is a great honor to be a part of this tonight, and tonight we add more to it. There are 150 individuals and 2 teams that are part of the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame heading into tonight. We're going to add 5 more to that. So we want to see, I know there are several here. If you're a current member of the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame, will you please stand? I know there's a few of you out there. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. We got a few Hall of Famers tonight, and congratulations to them, and we're going to go ahead and add more to them tonight as well. If you haven't, or next time you go to the D-Event Center, go to the South Concourse, and we have a new Hall of Fame that's just been up the last year or so. It's on both sides of the concourse in the South Concourse. So next time you're over there, take a look at it. All the plaques are there, and you can read again up on the great history. And also in your program, it lists all the Hall of Fame members as well. So that is an honor to be a part of that. Again, as Tim mentioned, thanks to the Hall of Fame committee. I appreciate all their help in putting this together as well, and the opportunity that we have. And Robert Casey's here to take photos, and Alan Farron's with the video as well, and the graphics that he's created. So tonight we get to celebrate that and honor those 5 Hall of Fame class. So let's just begin tonight. I'll read just a brief bio about each one of you, and then we'll hear from you. So our first honoree tonight is Sarah Callister Sellers. Sarah's an Ogden native. We're honored tonight. I'm an Ogden High graduate myself, so I'm excited we have 2 Ogden High graduates in here tonight. Thank you, Rob. A couple Ogden High graduates. But Sarah's an Ogden native. She's a 9-time Big Sky champion, multiple record holder for the Weber State women's track and field team from 2009 to 2013. She was part of 3 championship teams in the Big Sky. She twice competed in the NCAAs. She won a Big Sky outdoor title in the 5K and the 10K 3 straight years in each of those. She won both of those 3 straight years. She's the only female distance runner in Weber State history to win a conference championship in the same event 3 times, and she did that twice. That's pretty impressive, that's for sure. She's also excelled in the classroom. She was an All-American in academics, an academic All-American 3 times. And as many of you know as well, she's gone on to have a professional running career, a great career, which she's continuing now as well, and she can talk about that too. But she finished second in 2018 at the Boston Marathon and made world headlines with that second place finish. And she's continuing to work towards future events on the professional side as well. So let's hear from the newest member of the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame, Sarah Callister Sellers.
Well, thank you. This is a huge honor and very intimidating. I decided I would actually turn my time over to my husband. He loves public speaking, so he's going to speak for me. So actually, no, he hates public speaking. Our marriage would not continue if I did that to him tonight. But I'll make this brief, but mostly wanted to just talk a little bit about my time at Weber and why I chose Weber and just the foundation that it's set for my life so far. Growing up a mile away from Weber and going to Ogden High School, there was always kind of this lore of go somewhere big, exciting for school. You know, if I ran really well in high school, I could be recruited out of state and go somewhere like more exciting. And I went on some out of state visits and ultimately just felt like Weber was home. There were 3 people that really drew me to Weber. Paul Pilkington was #1. I always respected him as a coach and as a person, and I saw how his athletes progressed. And one of those athletes, Lindsay Anderson, she was someone that I always looked up to. She had just made the Olympic team right before, while I was kind of in that decision time, and then my sister-in-law became my sister-in-law. At the time was Natalie Hawes had run for Davis High School, and so I'd seen how Paul had helped Natalie progress and contrasted that with some of the big powerhouse schools where I saw a lot of very talented runners went, and some of them went on to do incredible things, and others fizzled out, either had a year or 2 of greatness and then fizzled out, or stress fracture after stress fracture, got injured, and I saw that was not the pattern at Weber State. So that was the draw there. It was mainly running focused. I knew it was a solid school academically. It wasn't until I got into the nursing program that I realized what a unique opportunity it was. I remember talking to several of the BYU track and field athletes who wanted to do nursing school, but told me that the coaches wouldn't let them run and do nursing school. And so being able to complete a nursing degree, and it took a lot of flexibility from Coach Pilkington and Coach Blaisdell, all the coaches, a lot of accommodating my clinical hours, different practice times. But being able to do that made all the difference. And I was able to, as soon as I graduated, go into my now career as a nurse anesthetist, and that wouldn't have been possible at other bigger programs that seemed more flashy at the time. And then I wanted to mention, kind of as I thought back on my time at Weber, one thing that stuck out to me was how the little things really are the big things. Again, going back to kind of the bigger programs that I initially looked at, you see like, oh, they get to travel to Hawaii for some of their conference meets, and they got to, like, some of the things that to a high school athlete look exciting. You realize that what really makes the collegiate experience is your coaches, your teammates, professors who care about you and who know you. I know a lot of my nursing school professors, and it really was a very unique opportunity. And then I feel like Weber State really prepared me both for my career as a nurse anesthetist and for some of the opportunities that I've had post-collegiate running. During my time at Weber State, I remember coming to Coach Pilkington several times. I always felt like a bigger runner. I saw these other distance runners who were just like, looked like little stick figures and running these really fast times, and I thought like, oh, if I, maybe if I lose 5 or 10 pounds, like I'm gonna be faster. And I asked Coach Pilkington several times if that was something he thought would be helpful, and he said, absolutely not. Like you're healthy, you're strong, this is something that, like he had the long-term perspective, and that's something that really set me up to be able to do marathons later on. And there's a quote that I like, it's, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And the 2018 Boston Marathon really was that experience for me, where it was the preparation that I'd had running through Utah winters, and having a coach who really cared about me, cared about my long-term progression. That set me up to where there was a very unique opportunity at the Boston Marathon, and somehow that Venn diagram collided, and it ended up as a second place, which in no statistical probability should have ever happened. So I feel very honored to be here. I'm very grateful for my time at Weber State. Also definitely have to give a big thank you to 2 of my high school coaches who are here tonight, Coach Parrish and Coach Hall. As an adult looking back, now I think about the time that high school coaches put in. It's, I think, often a thankless job. It's the number of hours that they put in for essentially no pay is pretty remarkable. And I absolutely would not have had the collegiate opportunities or post-collegiate opportunities without them. So I'm very grateful to be here tonight, and thank you so much.
Congratulations, Sarah. As you know, she's one of our great distance runners that we've ever had, and Weber State's known for tremendous distance runners, that's for sure. And tonight we get to induct another one right now. Our next inductee is Seth Pilkington. Seth was a 5-time All-American. He was a 5-time Big Sky champion, and he also was a multiple school record holder for the Wildcat men's track and field teams and cross country from 2005 to 2008. He earned All-American honors twice in cross country, twice in outdoor track, and once in indoor track. He is the only Wildcat in history to earn All-American honors in all 3 of those sports. That is pretty unique. He finished in the top 5 in the NCAAs in outdoor track twice, and he also won 3 Big Sky titles in outdoor track. And he also was a multiple academic All-American. And he ran for his father, head coach Paul Pilkington. I didn't know this about Paul, but I knew he coached Sarah. I knew he coached Seth. He also coached Nicky Wangsgard as well in high school. So Paul has a big influence here today as well on that. So Seth had the opportunity to run for him as well. He was a tremendous distance runner, and now it's our opportunity to hear from the newest member of the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame, Seth Pilkington.
Well, thanks, Paul. When I read the article that came out, there are some things in there that I learned about myself, so I appreciate Paul doing the research. Congratulations to all the inductees. I obviously grew up here. I'm a local product, and we would go to a lot of Weber State basketball games when I was a kid, and always remember seeing the plaques of the Hall of Famers on the wall at the D Event Center. And it's an honor to be a part of the Hall of Fame, so I appreciate the opportunity. I've struggled to figure out what to say tonight, and I think I'm fortunate to have my kids here, and I just want to talk to them. I'm a little more comfortable doing that. But I want to share a couple stories that I've experienced as an athlete that I think can kind of transcend athletics and maybe be beneficial to you kids. I started running when I was fairly young, but growing up, I always kind of had the dream of being an All-American or being a runner. I kind of felt like that was my future. As a ninth grader, I ran cross country at Roy High. I was a junior high student and went to practice the first day in the summer leading into my ninth grade year. And we started off with a group of maybe 10 or 15 of us, and by the end of the run, it kind of whittled down to about 7, maybe 8 runners that had made the whole route. And I remember being excited going home and telling my dad, I think I can be varsity this year as a ninth grader. And he said, well, I think you can be varsity, but I think you can be the #1 guy on the team. And that was kind of the first time that I had thought to stretch myself beyond maybe what I thought was possible. And that was kind of the attitude that rubbed off on me throughout my high school career, that if you're willing to surround yourself with people that believe in you and will help you stretch yourself, you can achieve more than maybe what you thought was possible. My parents were huge in my success as an athlete and anything I've done in life, so I appreciate their support. As a junior in high school, I took second at state in cross country, and I got beat by a guy named Josh Rotinsky. He was a senior at the time. It was his 4th straight state championship in cross country. He's the only athlete that's ever done that. And he was unbeatable in everybody's eyes. He beat me by quite a ways as a junior. And after that cross country season, I had finished a run leading into our track season. My dad coached me in high school, but we had a high school coach as well that coached the team. And he came up and approached us and said, hey, I've been thinking about your track season. This year at state, the 1600's on Friday, the 3200's Saturday morning, and the 800 is later in the day on Saturday. What do you think about just focusing on the 800? And by the time you get to the 800, Josh will have run 2 other races and maybe have a chance at beating him. And my immediate reaction was, I don't want to beat him in the 800. I want to beat him in the 2 mile. He had never been beaten in the state before in the 2 mile. It would have been his 4th straight state championship. And then my dad's response after that was, we're going to get him ready to beat Josh in the 2 mile. And so that became the focus. And once again, I had that support that I could do more maybe than I thought I could. And so over the next few months, we worked hard. I did everything possible to be ready for that state championship. We came up with a race plan months ahead of time, and I even think maybe my dad talked to Chick Hislop about the race plan. And the plan in that race was let Josh lead the first mile. He's used to that and comfortable. And then at the 1600 mark, go to the lead and make him uncomfortable. He was used to being up front. And whatever it takes that 2nd mile, we just don't let him lead again. So 4 laps in, I take the lead. He kind of doesn't know what to do because I wasn't used to that. And he tried to throw in a few surges, and I did everything I could to stay with him. And I had run this race in my head so many times that I was ready. He slowed down a few times and was uncomfortable. The last lap, we were neck and neck running next to each other. And then even same thing coming up to the last 100 meters. We started to sprint as fast as we could. And at the line, it was so close that I couldn't tell who won. But the last thing my dad said before we went to the start was, make sure you're ready to lean at the finish line. He believed I could do it. So I leaned at the finish line, and I won the state championship. We both had run under the state record, and the time popped up first, and I didn't know who had won. I knew it was a state record at the time, and then I saw my name. And I appreciated the fact that I had the support around me that allowed me to be a bit of a dreamer. I shouldn't have won that race. When I got to Weber State, I realized that it wasn't just my family that believed in me. It was also Coach Hislop. My sophomore year, I had the goal of being an All-American since I was little, since I knew what All-American meant. My sophomore year of track, I had qualified for nationals. It was the first time for me to race at the NCAA championships. And I had warmed up and I was ready to go down to the track, and I was stressed. I'd never felt pressure like that. Just the pressure of a national championship is a little different than most races. And Chick came up to me right before I went down to the track, and he had kind of the half grin that he gets on his face, and he was shaking my hand and staring at me for a minute. And then he said, "I just want to be the first one to congratulate you on being All-American." And immediately I thought, he believes that I can do it. And the pressure right then just kind of lifted off of me, and I was able to go race and enjoy the whole race, the whole 25 laps. And it really felt that way because I knew I'd done the work and put in the time that it took to get there. My coach believed in me, and I was able to finish the top American in the race and make All-American. But just that relief of having a coach that believed in you and a community that believed in me. Paul said a lot of nice things. He could have also brought up a lot of things, like I actually only was healthy for 2 track seasons, my whole 5 years of competing. I lost more races than I ever won. There were one time I was leading the Big Sky Championships in cross country and it gapped the rest of the field by quite a ways. And with like 400 meters to go, I went down and had some breathing problems and it ended up staggering through the finish line. So with anything, there's difficulties. But when you have a group and a community that supports you and believes in you, and you listen to those voices, then the defeats don't have to define who you are. And I appreciate the support that Weber State was to me and that my parents have been. My wife, Jamie, was also a standout athlete at Weber and was the school record holder in the 1500. She downplays her accomplishments, but she was pretty good. She was also a huge support to me, not only during college, but after. I competed for several years. And she was always with me on runs and would take the kids out when they were young and put them in a cart behind a bike and bike next to me. The last race that I competed in was the top of Utah Marathon in 2013. And I had blood sugar issues, and it was kind of my last attempt at the marathon because I had blood sugar issues in previous attempts. And I came through half a marathon and was feeling pretty good, and my blood sugar just crashed. This was in September of 2013. My daughter was born like 3 weeks later, so Jamie was as pregnant as could be. And she saw I was struggling, and she started to run with me and encouraged me to keep going. And I wasn't able to. I had to drop out of the race. But at the time, I was frustrated. But looking back, I appreciate that race probably as much as any, because that's who she's been in my life, and I appreciate her. Thanks, everybody, for being here. There are a lot of people here that I love and are close to, and appreciate all your support. And go Wildcats.
Thank you, Seth. Congratulations again on that. Our next nominee is an all-time football great, Trevyn Smith. Trevyn was one of the great football players that Weber State has ever had. He was a 4-year standout with the Wildcats from 2006 to 2009. He still holds several school records and several honors. He was a 2-time All-American, and he made history by earning first-team All-Big Sky honors 4 times. That is such a rare accomplishment. He's actually one of only 3 players now in Weber State history to ever do that, and only 5 in Big Sky history to earn first-team honors all 4 years. He's still, right now, still today, is our all-time leading rusher by quite a ways. Over 5,000 rushing yards, and he had 43 touchdowns. He led the Big Sky in rushing 3 times, which is one of 2 players ever to do that. And he rushed for over 1,000 yards all 4 years. He's the only player to do that as well. He was a tremendous, tremendous player. As we know, unfortunately, Trevyn passed away in 2019, and we miss him, and sorry that he cannot be here with us tonight. I'm sure he's watching us, I hope. Here tonight, though, to accept the induction of Trevyn Smith into the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame is his wife, Erica.
So I'm just going to start by setting all of your expectations super low. Similar to Sarah's husband, I don't do the public speaking. So if I start to sound like our current president, my father-in-law is going to come relieve me. So I'll just talk briefly about Trev's time at Weber State. Trevyn was originally not super excited to be attending Weber. For those of you that know him, this will come as no surprise. To his very core, he believed he should be at a bigger school. He had quite the record in high school, similar to college. But luckily, both Trev and his mom fell in love with Coach Mack. So his time at Weber State began. Trev was one of the most competitive people I know. I'll quickly tell a couple stories that depict him. One of our close friends, Marcus Miley, tells a story of Trevyn's recruiting trip that they took together. Both of them played tailback, and so they spent the day together. As the day progressed, Marcus tells of how Trevyn started questioning him. So you play what position, and what do you intend on playing in college? Marcus then said Trevyn stopped, eyed him up and down, and said, "So what do you weigh, man?" Marcus says, "It was in that moment I knew he was calling me a fullback." Coach Mack tells another story of Trevyn's first season at Weber. He said only a few practices had passed, and Trev approached him and said, "Hey, Coach, I need to play. I'm better than all those guys." Mac's response was, "Come on, Trev, you don't even know the plays yet." The funniest part about this story is I can say with 100% certainty that both statements were true. Trevyn would go on to be one of Weber's most decorated backs, if not the most decorated back. He would also graduate Weber State football, still not knowing his plays, which brings me to my next Trevyn story. We had an open door policy at our house, which meant that half of the football team at one point or another lived with me. Derek Cosper would be one of my most common roommates. I believe it was because of his play knowledge that contributed to this. Derek would stay up for hours studying plays with Trevyn, and soon enough I knew them all as well. However, this did not translate on the field for Trev. Those of you familiar with football know that after game day, the boys head up to the stadium to watch film. Where they watch film, they're graded out. Trevyn never graded out above a C. It didn't matter if he was leading the entire nation in touchdowns. He could not, for the life of him, follow his blocker, Marcus Miley. He could not stick to the play. He constantly complained that he wasn't being graded out fairly. He was bound and determined to prove to me just how outrageous this really was. One day he called up his running back coach, Coach Matt Hammer. He told Matt, "My wife will be attending film with us on Sunday," which Matt agreed to. Trevyn was super hard to tell no. So I told him, "I will go to film on one condition. You will not ask for my opinion during film." So I snuck in. I sat in the back. I was pregnant with our second baby, and I had our first one with us. As film started, Hammer paused to draw out where Trevyn should have ran the ball. Immediately, he began looking back at me. with his "can you believe this" crap face. It only took one play where Trevyn scored a touchdown and received a poor grade. He completely came unhinged. Soon he was standing at the front of the room with a marker, explaining why his choice was the better one, and demanding that I stand up and tell Coach how it made 0 sense, since my opinion mattered so much in that room. This process never got better for Trev. He never graded out where he believed he should have. We often tried to redirect his attention to his stats or his records, and although Trevyn loved the game of football, he loved nothing more than the approval of the people that he loved and respected. Sorry. Which was his coaches, his teammates, and his family. Trev was a genuinely natural talent. You hear all these stories about these incredible athletes that spend every day working every moment of their day to become who they are. Not Trev. While I'd like to say that's how he was, it's just not the truth. Football first string was required to spend summers at Weber State. They had designated workout days. Trevyn attended a total of 0 summers. He took summers and spent them with his family. He rolled into camp every single year, 15 pounds heavier than he should be. And by the end of camp, he was running circles around the guys who had spent their entire summer in the weight room. This had to be absolutely infuriating to all of his teammates. He had such a lighthearted, charismatic personality that I think it made his teammates forget that he'd been a lazy sack of crap all summer. I could go on for days about stories of Weber State football, but I'll start wrapping up. Coach Mack talks about a brotherhood that is formed on the field. I can attest to this personally. Many of those boys who lived on my couch or lived in one of my spare bedrooms in college stood in my wedding line and worked with and for us after college for many years. Many of these guys are still my very best friends today. I'm so thankful for Weber State and for Coach Mack giving Trevyn the opportunity. Even though we were poor as dirt, there's something so magical about Saturdays and watching someone you love live out their dream. I'm also super grateful that I was involved as I was. Mac and I sat down for lunch the other day, and he said, "I don't know how the hell you did it. I don't know how you put up with all those idiots in your house. I don't know how you dealt with the coaches' calls, and mostly I don't know how you put up with Trevyn." And in all reality, I loved it. Trevyn forced my involvement in the beginning, but I stayed because I love the boys, I love the coaches, and I love the game. I'm also so thankful that Trev got this opportunity to leave a legacy that my kids can reflect on and be proud of. I'm thankful for football and the time that it gave me with Trevyn and my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. Some of my very favorite memories are traveling to football games with those people. Lastly, this one's more personal. I am thankful for the main man in our house right now, better known as Boy Ryan, who's confident enough to allow my kids and my family to keep Trevyn's memory alive every single day. And not only that, but he comes and supports and celebrates all of Trevyn's accomplishments with us. That's all I have, but thank you, and thank you, Weber State.
Well done, Erica. I'm sure that was not easy, but congratulations to Trevyn and to your family as well. Our next inductee is a two-sport athlete, Nicky Wangsgard. Absolutely. There aren't many athletes in our Hall of Fame that played two sports, and Nicky is one of those. She's going to join that elite group. She was a two-sport athlete at Weber State from 1992 to 95, and she was the two-time MVP in tennis, the Big Sky MVP and conference champion for the Wildcat women's tennis team. She also played on the women's basketball team. She was another Ogden native and Ogden High graduate. She played 2 seasons of tennis at Weber State and was named the Big Sky MVP both of those seasons. She's only one of 2 players in conference history to be MVP twice. A great accomplishment. She helped lead the Wildcats to Big Sky titles both of those seasons as well. And while doing that, she also played 3 years of basketball for the Weber State women's basketball team, and she also led the team in scoring during the 93-94 season. So she did a whole lot. So it's our honor to hear from our newest Hall of Fame inductee, Nicky Wangsgard.
Thank you. Thank you. This is such an honor. I have 12 points I want to talk about. I just want to thank the president for being here, Brad Mortensen. Thanks, Carrie Thompson. I know you put a lot of work into this event. Tim Crompton for that phone call. I remember that phone call. It was such an honor. Paul Grew, we were looking for photographs. I'm a little older than some of you here today, so tracking down those photographs. We didn't have cell phones back then. Call my mom and dad, do you have any pictures? Well, we have newspaper articles. And so, yeah, we didn't have cell phones back then. My family, I had so much family support. I think every single basketball game or tennis match, there was some cousin, my mom and dad, my brother, somebody was always at my events cheering me on. Family support was huge. I want to thank my brothers for beating up on me when I was younger and letting me be one of the guys. I think I played on your baseball team and your football team all throughout that's all I remember, playing every sport with you. Thank you for that. That paved the way, for sure. I want to, my mom, I call my mom before T9. My mom, before Title IX, she would have been a Hall of Famer, honestly. She would have been a Hall of Famer. She was a cheerleader at Weber State. Apparently, she was doing cartwheels and was able to hold a handstand for a 12 or 13, 14, 20-foot slide and then come back down, no big deal. First break dancer, I think, back in the day. But she was known for always winning everything. I mean, anybody knew that if she was going to date my mom, they were going to lose, whether it was pool, bowling, whatever. And she met my dad, who also, I think, could have been a Hall of Famer. He had a farming accident. Apparently, he ate his finger. That's the story we get. But he was recruited by Bill Bowerman to run cross-country for Oregon, but he chose Utah State. He ran cross-country and track for Utah State for years, and my mom met him, moved to Utah State, and finished her teaching degree there, and my dad finished his teaching degree there. So, long story short, I think I come from a good line of genetics. That's why I'm here. I got 2 parents that I definitely think are Hall of Famers in my eyes. So I guess there's a little bit of hard work that goes into joining this fabulous class that I'm joining today. Work ethic was instilled in me at a young age, watching my parents be school teachers and spending their summers mowing lawns. They had rentals, they were building apartments. I saw them work harder in the summers than they worked when they were school teachers. They'd come home exhausted from teaching school all day. And the day I just, decided to go to Weber State and finish my degree. And I said, guess what, parents? I'm going to become a teacher too. And so anyway, I ended up becoming a teacher. I'm still a teacher. I'm a professor at SUU. But I do want to talk about Weber State. I remember at age 4, maybe even 3, maybe even 2, running laps around the D-Event Center. My parents had season tickets to the football game, season tickets to the basketball game, and I spent so much time on Weber State's campus that when it came time to play college sports, I was looking at Weber State. In fact, I think at one moment I wanted to play 3 sports. I wanted to run cross country. Paul Pilkington was he helped me be very successful in high school at running events, tennis, basketball, and like, well, shouldn't you focus on one sport? Well, yeah, maybe I'll try that. I'll focus on one sport. And I did that. I went away, chose tennis, and my heart's purple. I bleed purple. I went to a big college in Kentucky, and I remember calling up Carla Taylor, Keith Cox. I'm bleeding purple. I gotta come play for you. And they welcomed me with open arms. And so I played basketball and tennis, and I loved every minute of it. In fact, I think I remember at a young age, my parents even said to me, maybe you should focus on just tennis. Because I started traveling the country at age 10 at tennis tournaments. And I said, no, I like everything. I want to do it all. I think when I'm running, that gives me more endurance for basketball, and basketball gives me more strength for tennis. I kind of have learned how to, help them all. I just think combining them all, I was able to find a way to make it work. And luckily, Carla Taylor and Keith Cox believed in me. Their offices were right across from each other, and I think they definitely had to coordinate my schedule at times. And I wrote down here 3 memories I remember. Number 1, finishing a tennis match, and my mom and I jumping into the car in a snowstorm trying to get back to get me to a basketball practice. And it was just, the snow was blowing sideways. But no, Mom, I gotta get there, let's get there. So we tried, and a police officer, what are you doing out here? And so we ended up pulling off and getting a hotel room in Pocatello, Idaho. And I called up Carla Taylor, and everyone understood. Everyone was so supportive, and which made me want to put my 110% of my effort into whatever I was doing at the time. But it did take a lot of collaboration between Keith Cox and Carla Taylor. I really appreciate them for giving me the opportunity to play 2 sports at Weber State. There is one memory. My senior year, BYU, University of Utah, we all play them, right, every year? We want to beat them. Weber State, they're kind of our rivals, right? And I remember my senior year coming off the bench, and I had 2 of my biggest games when we played University of Utah and BYU. I made 3 3-pointers in each of those games, and we beat them my senior year. And another big memory is when I won the conference championship in tennis. The next morning, Monica Seles apparently was attacked on the court, and she was a big hero of mine. And so as I thought, wow, you never know. You never know what could go on in sports. And that was so a huge win. Then kind of some negative news, but she came back, and I actually got the opportunity to meet her later in life, which was really incredible. And that actually came through my addiction to competition. So I went on after Weber State and ended up becoming a teacher, got my doctorate, and became full professor at SUU. I was a department chair and associate dean for a while, but realized, I like teaching. I like working with students. I don't like managing adults so much. So I tell my students all the time, this is where I belong. I can't wait to share everything I can with you. I actually teach future teachers, and I teach all the special education courses. So it's a real It's a very rewarding career. And as I was getting my doctorate, I remember somebody in class said to me, "You look like you're a cyclist." And I said, "No, I play tennis. I'm an athlete. Yeah, I'm an athlete." And they said, "Well, why don't you join the cycling team?" And this was at UNC. So I have already used up my eligibility. In fact, I begged them for more. I wanted to keep playing. So I used up all my eligibility. So no, it's NCCA, National Collegiate Cycling Association. It's a club sport. I'm like, okay. So I'm in my doctorate, and I thought, why not? I like to, I'm addicted to competition. So I ended up racing for UNC, and I won the NCCA a mountain bike championship. They invited me to the Olympic Training Center, and I got recruited to race for some professional cycling teams. So as you can see, I go hard or I don't go at all. And it all comes back to I've got good genes. So that's always been my motto. If you're gonna go down that path, you're gonna go 110%. So I hope my kids are listening to me right now. Yes, go hard. It's kind of been my motto in life. And I'm very fortunate. I got to go to a couple Olympic trials, and I was working for a sprinter, or I was working for a climber. So I tell people, yeah, I went to the Olympic trials. I went to the World Cup, but I wasn't racing for myself. I was racing for my team leader. And it was so much fun and so rewarding. And it brings me back to Weber State. I loved my teams, the tennis team, the basketball team. We didn't win unless we all, it was a team sport, and we all had to work together. And I felt more accomplishment at basketball games when I had more assists. And I was so proud of my tennis teammates, when they would win. And they would come to my basketball games with signs cheering me on. And so I could still picture them in the stands cheering me on at the basketball games. Just to wrap this up, this is a huge honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I didn't realize the numbers. This is a huge honor. And I go to bed every night thinking of my next goal in life. And I've always been that way. And I really owe that to my family for instilling that in me. And so yes, thank you. This is, I feel nothing but love today. And I can't wait to meet the other inductees. Thank you.
Congratulations, Nikki. Great job. Now, for our next inductee, as part of the Reed K. Swenson Distinguished Service Award, as part of the Hall of Fame ceremony, is former Weber State University President Dr. Ann Millner. President Millner is the first university president to be inducted into the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame. She served as president of the university from 2002 to 2012, and she worked for more than 20 years at the university prior to that as well. And at the time, when she became president, she was the first woman to lead a Utah public university. She also helped lead Weber State to a nearly 40% increase in enrollment. And as part of athletics, she was a huge part of athletics and the success as well. During her tenure as president, Weber State won 30 Big Sky titles and had numerous individual and academic, All-American, all kinds of honors as well. And Weber State won the Big Sky President's Cup 4 times as well. She was seen at many, many games, many athletic events. It was a big part of that. She served on many committees with the Big Sky Conference and was always there to be a great supporter of Weber State athletics. So let's hear from our newest inductee into the Weber State Athletics Hall of Fame, President Ann Millner.
So as I sat there and listened to the stories of our former student athletes, I never cease to be amazed about why everybody in the world of athletics does this work. It's because of the opportunities that student athletes get to set goals, to work hard, to achieve those goals, to work as a team and support something greater than themselves. How could you not love being part of that? But I also want to thank a few people, and I just want to say to Brad and Norm and Tim, thank you very much for this honor. I'm honored, but I can't believe you actually gave me the stage. So now you can worry about. Yeah, truly, your friendship and working with each of you, we have long working relationships in many different roles at Weber State University, and I appreciate all of you and all that you've done. And Jack Lampros is over here. Jack was, for many, many years, the chair of the Stewart Education Foundation. And Elizabeth Stewart and the Stewart Education Foundation believed in athletics. I can remember the time there was a really small president's box. Now it's a public safety place. That was the president's box for a number of years at Weber State University. And Elizabeth faithfully would be there for every football game, even when she had a wheelchair. And she was at basketball games, and she loved athletics and supported it in every way. And the Stewart Education Foundation, after her passing, continued to do that. So it tells you something about what this takes, what this endeavor takes. It doesn't take just a coach. It doesn't take just a student athlete that wants to exceed and succeed. It takes a community. And I'd just like to share a few stories about what I learned as president of Weber State University. And I had the opportunity when I was president to obviously serve on the president's group with the Big Sky Conference. And I am ever proud that Weber State University was a founding member of that conference. And you think about that in the world of shifting teams and conferences that we see today. And Weber State helped found that conference, and actually Reed K. Swenson helped found that conference, who this award is named after. And we're still members today. And then I had the chance to serve on the NCAA board, both the Division I board and the executive committee. So coming in, I never thought I would have the kind of athletic experience that I had during my 10 years as president, but I learned a lot. And here's just a few things. First of all, commitment to purpose and values, first and always. The athletic leadership at Weber State is committed to excellence in all aspects of its work. They're dedicated to providing the best possible experience for student athletes, coaches, and fans alike. That's not easy, but it's essential, like winning. I remember having the opportunity often to, they call me in, the athletic director, and want me to talk to the coaches, et cetera. And I remember thinking, I know nothing about coaching. Like, I am the least experienced at this. But I did know what I felt like the university had to have from those coaches. And I had high expectations for them. And my expectations are to win, but to make sure while we were winning that our student athletes were doing well academically and that they were good citizens in our community, both university community and greater community. That's asking a lot, but we needed it all. And we needed coaches who would help us achieve that. And we have so many coaches over the years. I've been at Weber State over 40 years. So many coaches over the years who believed that, who lived that, and made that happen. And as the world of college athletics resets itself, as I watch what's going on out there, the culture is changing. But here's what I'd like to charge Weber State with. You know, I believe that Division I FCS football has the opportunity to carry the banner for amateur athletics for college students. And when I think about what I most valued, it was the opportunity for students to be able to get a degree, to compete, to be part of a team, to win, and be amateur athletes. And we need to make sure that we carry the banner of that, and I actually believe that FCS football conferences, which are Division I conferences who play FCS football, have the opportunity to carry the banner there. Because the reality is, the NCAA used to say, we have over 400,000 student athletes. Most of them will never go pro, but they will be the leaders of the next generation, as you've seen tonight from the people that you've talked with. Second, leadership's the key. It takes leadership, it takes a plan, it takes relentless hard work, and the sports programs have to be highly engaged, but we also need the Wildcat Club, we need the community at large, we need everyone to come together to help these programs. Athletic directors and talented coaches are committed to success in all ways, and early on I learned they don't want to hear anything about coaching from a president. In addition to that, though, I learned what's most important and the most impact that you can have is hiring the right coach every time. Because the right coach is what makes a difference. The right coach will push you administratively to do the things that need to be done, to be able to support the team. They will find the right players, recruit the right players, develop them in the right way, and help them evolve as a team to win. All you can do is find the right coach. Now, sometimes that's not easy. Some of you know I was in trouble at one point about hiring coaches. And, you know, it can be difficult because fans have lots of different opinions, and they aren't the same opinions. But the reality is that you have to stay North Star focused on hiring the right coach at the right time for the institutions and for the student athletes. And then finally, the power of collective effort. It takes a community. As is true most in all things in life, it takes a community to succeed. It takes the engagement of our alumni, of our Wildcat Club, of our fans. It takes support for athletic facilities and scholarships and study centers, and it takes fans to be highly engaged, to be proud of the team, to be there and be part of it, and it can be game-changing. This doesn't work without the broad involvement of a broader community. So I want to say to all of you, my plea is for you to continue to lead by showing up for the Wildcats. When the stadium, the arena, or the fields are packed with fans, we build pride in Weber State University and our community. It's up to all of us to help realize the dream of a model athletic program that leads the way in amateur college athletics. Competitive teams, successful athletes, and the power of community commitment will stoke the flame for the college student athlete and the university experience. finally, I want to thank you one last time. It's great to be a Wildcat, and I appreciate being a Wildcat with all of you. Thank you.
Congratulations, President Millner. I know you came to many of these events and spoke, I'm sure, at all of them, but here you are speaking as well as a Hall of Famer, so congratulations there. Let's give another round of applause for all 5 of our inductees tonight. What a great night. And again, they go down in part of the great history of Weber State Athletics. At this time, we'll hear from our chairman of our Hall of Fame committee, Curtis Breitweiser, and he'll present the rings and the plaques to our inductees.
Thanks, Paul. This is one of the, really a highlight of my life, being part of the Hall of Fame and being able to help select those that are worthy of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. The committee itself, sometimes we get together and it's a little bit like herding cats. We've got, from Paul and prior Wildcat Club directors and stuff, we've got a stack of I don't know how many pages, hundreds of athletes that we go through to determine who we ought to put in. And sometimes we miss some. Sometimes it takes us a few years to get on track, Nicky, and get them in the Hall of Fame. But it's always an honor when we get it right and we get you in the Hall of Fame. I want you all to know you're very, very deserving of this award. We have thousands of athletes that have participated in one sport or another at Weber State over the years, all the way going back to the junior college age of Weber State. And it's been a challenge over the years going through and collecting the data and trying to find the gem in the rough, so to speak, to put the people in that are deserving of the Hall of Fame. And it is, like I said, an honor to be a part of this, and I really get a kick out of it every year. We come up with somebody that we go, wow. And again, we have honorees tonight. You wow us. And I've been a ticket holder for almost 40 years up at Weber State, coming to games. I've been accused of, in fact, if there's a Tiddlywink championship, I'd probably be there. I love Weber State. I love coming to the games. I enjoy watching these athletes perform and execute at very high levels. And you can bet, I better believe I'll be at the Montana State game tomorrow night. With that said, what we're giving away tonight is a plaque that is similar to the one that will be, as mentioned earlier, be put up in the south entrance of the Event Center, along with a Hall of Fame ring. And so I'll call your name, come on up, and we'll do that. First off, Sarah, come on up. Let's give her a hand again. Go right through and on up. Congratulations. And come right up over here. Seth Pilkington. Come on up, Seth. Now, Seth, I've ran actually 7 marathons, but they weren't very fast. And not as fast as you run either as well. So. And Erica? Oh, on behalf of, is this a son?
And then top 2.
Thanks, Reggie. Nicky? And while she was president, I always called her Weber's #1 cheerleader. Ann Millner, come on up, President. Now, if you could do one final thing for me. Some of these athletes didn't compete in front of large arenas and huge football stadiums. I want a standing ovation for these people, okay? Let's go. Congratulations. Congratulations, your 2023 Hall of Fame inductees. That's how we do it at Weber, right? That's how we do it. Thanks, everyone. I'll give this back to Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Curtis. I'll just say a quick thing. The class will be honored again tomorrow night as well at halftime of the football game. It's a great top 10 matchup against Montana State, so they'll be honored again at halftime, so hope to see you all there. As we conclude, after we're done, Robert Casey will take plenty of photos. He'll take whatever photos you need as a group and individually as well, so he'll do that. Thanks, Robert, for your help. We'll conclude by hearing from our president, Brad Mortensen.
Just really quick, I know a lot of great things have been said tonight. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank our outstanding inductees for representing everything that's great for Weber State on behalf of the whole university. Thank you so much, and everyone have a great evening. Thanks.